And welcome back. We didn't have very far to go to get back to the stage, did we? That's kind of nice. I don't feel fatigued walking all over a venue. All right. So, yes, that was fun checking out the booths. And I hope you guys really enjoyed the sessions as well, kind of had the ability to jump in and out. So that's nice. And we'll have more time for networking and visiting booths later. But first, let's go ahead and introduce our next speaker. So she'll be talking about strategies and tactics for marketing your virtual event. Who am I referring to? Well, none other than Ashanti Bentil-Dew. She's a virtual event specialist, speaker, and founder of EventMind. EventMind provides e-learning and virtual training to event professionals and companies who launch and run virtual events. So I am very excited to hear from Ashanti, and let's go ahead and welcome her to the stage now.
Hi everyone, good evening. Well, it is evening here in the UK. For you, it's probably in the afternoon still. I am Ashanti, founder of EventMind. So we're going to have a little bit of fun this afternoon stroke evening, and we're going to talk about how you market a profitable virtual event. Now, you'll be able to see that there's some polls. On my view, it's on the right-hand side of the screen. It might be on your left-hand side, but please do feel free to participate. Ask any questions that you might have. I am more than happy to answer, so ask away. So I'm about to share my screen with you so that you can see some of the slides that will guide you through our discussion this afternoon. And we're going to cover some really important areas and topics when it comes to marketing a virtual event. So here we go. Okay, right. So I hope you can see my screen clearly. Okay. So we are going to be talking about strategies and tactics to market virtual events. So the big thing that you need to keep at the top of your mind when we're talking about marketing virtual events is that you are competing purely on the basis of attendee experience. Now, that hasn't changed, but it is even more true in 2020, especially at the moment where in-person events are not possible. Okay, so you need to work on creating an experience, not a transactional exchange, with your community, your network, your audience, and your attendees. And that is really important to remember as we move through the next few moments and we talk about marketing strategies and tactics. Okay, so the overall aim and the winning ticket, the winning strategy is about creating an experience, making your attendees feel something, making them think and feel wow. And that's really important when it comes to virtual events, whereby the viewer or the attendee, those listening, might be in an environment that is highly distracting. Okay, there's a lot of things competing for their attention. So it's your job as a marketer, as the event organizer, to provide an experience, so provide a feeling, so that they don't forget who you are, so that they actually attend the event and take something away and are able to recommend you, able to become an ambassador for you and your brand. And for the many reasons that we know, this is hugely important, okay, especially for your sponsors and your partners. So fail fast and fail forward. This is something that is said quite often in the tech startup world, right? They try something, they build a minimal viable product, okay, and then they test it and they get users to experience it, and they take that feedback, that data, and then they iterate and evolve their offering, their product or service. And that is what you need to do when it comes to marketing a virtual event, particularly if this is your first time, okay, using virtual events to achieve or meet a certain business objective. So fail fast and fail forward. And why do I bring this up? Because it's very common at the moment with a lot of the feeds that I'm seeing on social media, a lot of the questions that we receive, people are maybe pessimistic, skeptical, cynical of using virtual events, because obviously the big thing about in-person events was that you could meet in person. There's human contact, human interaction, which is hugely important and will never be replaced. But at the moment, we have to think about what we can do in this interim period. Okay, so fail fast and fail forward when it comes to your marketing plan. There's no such thing as perfection. So these are the things that we're going to discuss. The four most important principles of marketing virtual events. Pre-event marketing. This is crucial. Marketing during an event, and post-event marketing. Here we go. The big thing is, who is the event for? At the moment, you will have to stand out by creating this experience that wows your attendees, makes your event unforgettable. So you have to know, as a team, as a marketer, as an organizer, who it is your event is for. What problem will the event solve? This is key. If you can narrow down the actual problems and challenges that your event will meet, will solve for your attendees, you have very clear metrics to apply, to reach for, but also very clear messages that you can be using in your marketing collateral and material. Now, the top reason for attendance at any exhibition, conference, show, whether it's in person or not, is the newness and innovation of that event. Okay, so you've got to always be thinking about, is this event new? Is the content new in any type of way? Is it innovative? Is it about an innovative product or service or industry, an emerging trend, forecast, for example? Okay, because that feeds into the experience that you're competing on and what your attendees are actually looking for. And then the next question is always, what resources do we have as a marketing team? So that could be, what social media platforms do we have? Do we have an email database? Do we have any groups on LinkedIn, on Facebook? Or maybe outside of those settings, maybe at the moment they're physical networking groups. You must always start with, what resources do we have as a team, as a brand, as a business that we can leverage, okay, to roll out an effective marketing strategy. So it's really important to ponder on this. If you look for perfection, you will never be content. Okay, and I love that saying. Absolutely love that saying, because it is so true in so many ways, and particularly when it comes to your marketing strategy. Content. Who is the event for? What problems does this event solve? And therefore, what is our content? Okay, but if you are looking to be perfect, if you have feelings of fear, or you're slightly skeptical about using virtual events, it can inhibit you from producing the kind of content that hits, that connects with your intended audience in the marketing cycle. Okay, so here we go. We talked about the 4 C's of effective marketing when it comes to virtual events. And let me tell you, this framework that we've delivered and developed at EventMind is it literally is foolproof, okay? And it will take you from A to B every single time. It's a framework that can be applied across any kind of marketing strategy and goal. And we've narrowed it down to these 4 key things. When you look at what B2B marketers do, regardless of the industry, they do these 4 things. Successful marketing campaigns do all 4 of these things. And this is why we call it the 4 C's framework, okay, of effective event marketing. Content, which we just talked about. What is your message? What do you have to say? What are you going to use to connect with that audience, okay? And we'll go on to talk about content in a little bit more detail in a moment. The second thing, community. This event alone, there's chat rooms, there's networking spaces, there is community being built from the very beginning. It's really important. If you can make people feel connected to each other or connected to your message, you will find success. People will want to come to your event. People will engage and interact during your event. Okay, so this is really, really key. Really, really key stuff here, guys. Create community. when you are planning your event. Give your attendees, your intended attendees, opportunities to connect with each other. Can you set up a Slack group, a Facebook group? Can you bring them together on LinkedIn? Okay, what ways can you connect them with each other? A very recent virtual event that I signed up to myself, it was telling me, for example, anytime one of my LinkedIn connections also booked a ticket. So that created a certain level of community because these are individuals I'm already connected with, and it's revealing that we have a common interest, that we will be going to the same event. Very interesting, okay? So there are small ways you can create community amongst your attendees, and that keeps them connected and bound together, okay? And it keeps them connected to your event. Creativity. So we talk about creativity a lot in general in marketing. The truth is there's nothing new under the sun, but there is always a way to break your content down, try different formats and types of content to be more creative, especially if you're in an industry like cybersecurity, finance, energy. There are some industries where the subject matter might be by default a little bit drier, a little bit more intense. And so actually activating certain content types and formats like video, using appropriate memes or GIFs, for example, it is creative to that audience. Okay, so really think about the different ways you can engage people by creating this kind of 360-degree immersive experience for them. Engage their senses, for example, in order to get their attention and get them to come to your event. And the fourth one, which is really important, is collaboration, okay? All good marketers and brands collaborate in some kind of way. Now, whether that's collaboration with their sponsors or partners, it's still collaboration. Can you get the attendees to collaborate with each other by maybe doing an icebreaker or an activity together? Okay, getting them to introduce themselves to each other. Can you involve them, for example, in a poll like I've done throughout this presentation? Find ways, and it's so key, to collaborate with your attendees, with your sponsors and your partners. Another example of collaboration is I love when we run a lot of our training workshops online virtually and webinars, we actually do a live case study on one of the attendees. It involves them, it puts the spotlight on them in a positive way. But what it means is that they're more engaged, they become more invested because we are interacting with them live. Who doesn't like a bit of live and personal attention? Okay, so think about the ways you can collaborate with attendees before the event and during the event. And even after, when you're sending around the social posts, when you're sending around thank you messages, involve and include your collaborators in that process as well. So let's go over some pre-event basics of marketing. Easy sign up. Have a dedicated landing page for your event that clearly states what the event is about, okay, who the speakers are, how people can sign up. This sounds like a really obvious one, but sometimes this basic is missed, okay? So have easy sign up processes. People don't have time to be going through 3 or 4 pages and filling in many forms and fields. Keep it very simple. Make it very easy, particularly on mobile, because we do know obviously over 60% of your traffic is happening on a mobile or tablet device. So do make sure that your landing page is mobile responsive. Easy social sharing. This is key, okay? This is key, right? Word of mouth and recommendation, especially from people that we know, is hugely impactful and effective, okay? So you want to make it really easy for people to share the details of your event online on all social media platforms. And one of the really cute things that you can do that makes it really easy is in your maybe welcome email, for example, providing the actual tweets and all of the collateral they need to be able to share your event. Okay, it's really helpful. And people who often don't know how to use tech very well, maybe they're not totally confident with social media, if you've pre-prepared the actual message, it does a couple of things. Okay, it means they're more likely to share it, but more importantly, it means the messaging The messaging is harmonious, it's consistent, and it's on point. Sometimes when you let people say what they want to say or have to make it up, the messaging might be slightly off. So it's really important for you to keep it consistent by helping people share. And the same is said when you have speakers. Put your speakers to work, okay? Particularly if they're being paid a fee to speak. Ask them to share details of the event with others, with their network, with their email list, as and to the extent that they're comfortable. But in order to make it easier for them to do that, provide the collateral. Make sure it's downloadable or easily forwarded. Okay, so really, really take on the brunt of the work here so that you can get more bang for your buck in the marketing cycle. Make sure it's really easy for people to save your event in their calendar. Okay, one of the reasons why I made it on tonight on time is because of my calendar. I'd saved it in my calendar with reminders, and it was really easy to do that. Okay, so when I review a lot of kind of event technology software, one of the things I often ask the founders or the individual taking me through the demo is, how easy is this schedule to save? Where do I save the schedule? How can I encourage attendees to do the same? So really think about that, because people are busy, okay, especially when it's a virtual event. There are lots of things vying for their attention. So you want to ensure attendance as much as possible. So make it really easy for people to save the event in their calendar. Create a hub for attendees. So this is the fourth pre-event basic, okay? Let attendees, sponsors, partners meet before and after to continue the conversation. Okay, so again, you can choose various ways. There are lots of event technology softwares, such as this one, okay, that provide opportunities for networking, for you to talk in the booth, for you to, exchange information in the chat function. You can use a LinkedIn group, a Facebook group, but use something that you're actually going to monitor and moderate, okay? But provide an environment and facilitate further networking, further conversation and dialogue, okay? Because at the center of that is your event, okay? And if you have certain objectives like sales, brand building, relationship building, lead generation, creating hubs is really, really effective in the marketing process. So if you've created a hub, ensure that it's a part of any email sequence that you send out. Ensure that you are using or sharing that information in social posts, okay, with speakers, attendees, and partners. Make it really easy for people to join a community. Remember, we talked about that kind of really pillar element of the framework, creating community. And this is something you need to do in the pre-event marketing cycle. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them as we move along. So we're going to talk now about varying type and form of content. Okay, we get asked a lot about what content actually is. I think in the marketing world, we use this word quite flippantly, but sometimes people don't actually understand what content is. Okay, so you've got videos, images, podcasts, social posts, white papers, blogs, reports, ebooks, you name it, PDF downloads. This is all a format type, okay? So your content is your message, and the videos, the images, it's a type or a form of the content. So you could put what the event is about, or you could show footage from the previous year's event, or you can show a kind of 360 tour of the software or of the virtual booth. That is a format type of your content or your messaging, okay? The reason why you vary the type and form is so that, so we all learn differently, we all consume things differently. And so if you want to have the most impact, you have to be aware of the various learning types. And so you can do that by using some videos, some pictures, a blog, a white paper, maybe a podcast. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. And it doesn't mean that you have to replicate or repeat yourself over and over again. You recycle, you refresh, you reuse content in different formats. So for example, this talk that I'm giving now. This can be a podcast episode, okay? It can also be a blog post. It can be broken down into social posts. So there's so much you can get from one piece of content and put it into various formats and types, and make sure you're using that in your marketing. Right now, video is ranking extremely high across most social platforms. And actually, on a grand scale, there's a low percentage of marketers actually using video, especially in the event space and the B2B event space. Using video is not being done as much as it can be. Okay, and actually it's cheaper, for example, to drive traffic to videos because of how high they're ranking right now in feeds. So really think about pushing the boundaries, using the most impactful types and forms of content out there. Don't just limit yourself, okay, to blogs, for example. You really want to stretch the boundaries there when it comes to marketing your event using blogs, videos, podcasts, and images. And everything is content. Remember, we talked about, what your messaging is, okay? Everything can be your message. So it could be pictures of the team, putting together, I don't know, having a meeting with the speakers. It could be, backstage footage. It could be behind the scenes clips of the speaker practicing. It could be the speaker giving a teaser for their talk. It could be the speaker in the video talking about why they're talking at your event, why people should come. You could be talking to sponsors. So everything can be content, and the more varied, the better, because it will pique the interest of potential attendees. And this goes for whether it's a paid or a free event, by the way. Okay, it's no different whether it's paid or free. You need to get the most bang for your buck and the effort that you and your team have to put in to get people to actually book and attend. Now, the reason why I talk about content being currency, because as I say, your messaging right now is all that sets you apart, and the experience that you create along with that messaging, that is it. Okay, as we move through this COVID period, and on the other side, however that might look, what one thing we do know is it's going to be hybrid experiences. It'll be a mix of virtual and a mix of in-person. But there's going to be some hot competition, at least for another year and a half, as people start to settle, okay? Because remember, this year, timelines, timetables, schedules are out. Okay, so when people start getting back into those in-person events, there's going to be hot competition because there'll be a cluster of events all happening at the same time. You will be vying for the attention of attendees, whether it's an in-person event or a virtual one. So content right now is currency. Okay, the behavior that we're seeing from attendees is not changing. They are still looking for newness, innovation, and an experience. So really think about that when you are deciding on the content type and form that you're going to use in your marketing strategy. Really obvious one, but I always feel compelled to mention it, which is finding the right audience for your content. Okay, so make sure that after you've worked on your messaging, what the event is about, what problems your event meets, what challenges it meets, who it serves, you find the right audience. Sometimes what we see is that people are promoting an event in the wrong place. Okay, they're promoting an event in front of an audience that is incompatible with their aims. Okay, so for example, if your event is about accountancy, putting it in front of a group of surgeons, heart surgeons, wrong audience. Really think about which audience you are aiming for, and where they actually are. That is where you need to be placing your energy and your time in the marketing strategy. That is where you need to be putting your content in front of the right audiences at the right time. Now, an example of that, for example, is the NFL. When if you're in America, when the NFL, the Super Bowl game rather, is on, the adverts, okay, and the performances are aligned and matched to the audience that will be watching at that time. It's hot ticket stuff here. Hot ticket stuff, okay? That is why and businesses are interested at that time to have advert slots. It's no different when you're marketing your virtual event. You need the right content in front of the right audience at the right time, for enough time, okay, to make those messages connect and hit so that you are reaching the right people. So here's what you can do during a virtual event. And I think this is really important to talk about and mention: Twitter chats. Okay. These are huge. We saw a massive Twitter chat happening recently when the event manager blog decided to do that pivot to virtual, for example, webinar. 6,000 event professionals from across the world were watching this webinar. And at the same time, they had moderators on Twitter moderating a Twitter chat at the same time. And that created a real buzz. People were able to ask questions, they ran polls. So you can create a dedicated and special hashtag that goes along with your event and encourage people to use that hashtag in all of their communications with you and other people when they're promoting an event in advance. But then what it does, it sets it up so that during the event, they are also using that hashtag and having a Twitter chat. Okay. Now, there's so many benefits to this. One of the great things is that it is free and easy marketing. There will be people who haven't signed up to the event who will see that Twitter chat happening. They will see that hashtag coming up on their feed. Okay. So it's great in-event marketing. You're creating a sense of, missing out. We call it FOMO, right? Okay. So this is a perfect strategy to use to create FOMO before and during an event by having this kind of special, dedicated, bespoke hashtag on Twitter. Okay. And use it the way, these days, nowadays, you can get like running commentary or live reporting from the White House, live reporting from, Buckingham Palace with the Queen's speech recently here in the UK. Use Twitter, use your LinkedIn feed to create these real-time social updates. You can pre-prepare, okay, some moderators and curators in advance who are interacting with people in the chat function, who are interacting with people on LinkedIn, interacting with people on Twitter during the event. That builds up a real buzz around your event, and it keeps people engaged and interacting with you during the event. So that's some of the kind of inflow event marketing that you need to take advantage of. Use your polls, use your giveaways, interact with people live. Do all of those things to create this real environment, this experience that it's immersive and it's almost unforgettable for your attendees, partners, and sponsors. Tracking data and analytics. Now, this is one of the most important things for your marketing, okay? And it's something that is deeply underestimated when it comes to virtual events. I've spoken to a lot of kind of B2B marketers, event planners, and organizers. The data and the analytics that you can get from virtual events of any kind is just gold, okay? If you know what you're trying to track in the first place and you know how to gather that data in, you can actually produce performance summaries for your sponsors, for example. That heightens the value of that sponsor relationship when you're marketing your event, okay? They are likely to give you more because they want access to your data and analytics, and you have something of value to give sponsors in the virtual space, okay? So data and analytics, really important, so that when you go through your next cycle of marketing, when you're marketing smaller virtual events or the next big annual event, you will have real data and analytics to rely on when you are bringing together that strategy and making certain decisions about how the next virtual event will be formed, what the content will be, how you will engage and interact with your attendees. And the next one's social proof. So we've talked about social proof in various ways, all right? Really social proof is interwoven throughout all of the marketing cycle. But what I mean by this is making sure you gather in all these reviews, feedback, and testimonials from sponsors, partners, and attendees. And you make sure you've got that on rotation in all of your communication, okay? Because psychologically, that sends out the message to your potential attendees about why they should be attending, what they will get from the event, okay? Social proof is a crucial part of any marketing strategy. When other human beings see human beings maybe just like them, or more importantly, who've had a problem that they've got right now, or are experiencing something similar, and they say, I felt like that, I found this, and now I am this, that transformation from A to B. maybe they met their next business partner, or they struck the most important deal of their life at your event. You need that social proof. People like to see, to be able to believe. That's just something that humans like. Okay, so bring all of that organic, authentic social proof. It could be on Twitter, it could be on Facebook, it could be in the chat function of the event. Whatever social proof you can gather, you need to create a vault of it, and you weave it into nearly every marketing technique or strategy that you use in your email marketing. Okay, when you're talking to leads on the phone, when you're posting on social media, you want to weave in social proof. It gives it a certain level of credibility. It reassures people. It gives them comfort that your event is a good investment either of their time and or their money. So this is the point that we do talk about the power of email marketing. It's one of the things that, again, underused. So we see some companies have a database of emails, but they're not actually doing anything with that database at all. They're not doing anything with the database. So they just collect emails. Some companies are not collecting emails at all, right? So there's a spectrum and there's a scale there. But email marketing is really powerful, okay? Up to 40% of sales can come from email marketing, particularly in that week before your event, but also in the subsequent weeks. So if you're an event, maybe the actual event itself was free, but you have a product or service to sell, for example, or maybe you want to give your sponsors a bit of more, they want to get more from your relationship. The emails, okay, the sequence of emails that you send to your attendees and community, network, and audience just before and also after your event can yield, and often does yield, sales. So it's really important not to forget the power of email. Okay, make your emails mobile responsive, super clear, with bold call to actions. Those are like the three things you must do in emails. Okay, super clear, bold call to actions. Okay, make it really easy for people to book tickets, to make purchases, and also to share that invite or email or offer, depending on what you have in your email. So that's it really from me. That is a whiz tour through how we market our event really, really well. So are there any questions from anybody in the chat about how we can market our virtual events to make sure that they are profitable? Any questions? Let me have a look in the chat function here. Lovely. So I hope you saw those slides, Callie. The session's being recorded, and if anything, I can send the pack of slides over to Carlos and the virtual event news team, so that you can access those slides. Okay. Do let me know if you have any question, guys. That was a whistle-stop tour through marketing a profitable virtual event.
I just popped back on, Shanti, just to what's up, if everyone is all good with questions, but I just want to share the screen with you more than anything. That was great. Yes, that was a lot of excellent information, because, right, what good is an event if you don't let people know about it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think things like the Twitter chats, I've seen those to be hugely effective for lots of event organizers out there, because you get people joining the event sometimes while it's already happening, because of the activity that they're seeing, for example, on Twitter or on their LinkedIn feed.
Perfect. So it sounds like the decision has been made backstage for us just to take a quick 15-minute break then, if no one has any questions, and we'll meet right back here as soon as you can. But, we'll start I don't know, probably right at 3 Eastern, but depending on how many people, we see back, we might start a couple minutes early. So don't go too far, but we'll take a quick break and we'll get out of the stage. And if anyone feels like going to booths, they can, and feels like networking, or just take a bathroom and a food break. All right. So bye for now. We'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. Okay.